Does intelligence equate success? Yes, but the real true answer is when, where, and what. My name is Doyin. I'm a psych nurse practitioner. Welcome to Rethink Life with Doyin, where we unlearn to relearn. I have with me Dr. Jamarious Ugochukwu. He's a longtime friend. Dr. Jamarious. I know. Sorry, apologies. I'm saying Jamarious sometimes is my friend. So how long have right? We met in college.
Yes, over 10 years.
Over 10 years. And let me see, I don't, maybe ninth grade or 10th grade, one or the other, but I know you were running for something in the
government. Yeah.
Government, right? And what were you running for? Remind me again. The senior.
I think I was running for senior class president or something like that.
No, not senior class president. That was my role.
Sophomore. I was running for sophomore class president.
Sophomore class president. Okay. Okay. So I think I met you later on when you were running for, I think, the student government organization, the presidents for the student governing governing board. Body.
Before that, Doyin, before that, you knew me before that.
I did know you before that. I agree with you. So yes, right. This man standing here is 6'7", by the way. Okay, guys. So yeah, absolutely. Just want to give you a brief overview. So I met him at William Patterson. I was a bio major, and you were studying, I believe, literature.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Excellent. See, we will go way back. We're very close friends. So thank you again for being here with us. So Dr. Jamarious Ugochukwu, right? I know him as by another last name as well, but he did endorse the Nigerian part of it.
Yes.
He endorsed himself also to be Nigerian now, right, with the last name. But I know you has Nickerson as well. Am I correct so far? Yeah.
Yes.
So Dr. Jamarious Ugochukwu has worked from level K to kindergarten to 12th grade for over a decade. He has served in roles of being an administrator, a general education teacher, a teacher leader, a teacher mentor, and he has served also as vice principal. Dr. Jamarious Ugochukwu has recently evolved from the K to 12 field as an educator practitioner, in which he works to support individual teachers with strengthening student growth and student achievement outcomes. In tandem to his work, right, to this work of, Dr. Jamarious spearheaded Nick Consulting, an organization that works to inform the improvement of curriculum design and technological sound research-based pedagogy in classrooms throughout urban school districts. In the year 2013, Dr. Ugochukwu published a social ethnography centered on the recruitment, training, and retention of competent men of color as educators, entitled 6'7", Not a NBA Player, Meeting the Demands for Male Educators. The social ethnography intersects his own teaching experiences with research-based recommendation for supporting men of colors in classrooms throughout the nation. Currently, Dr. Ugochukwu continues his research as an educational consultant in the Southwestern United States. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Jamarious Ugochukwu with me here. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, my friend. Yes,
you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. So tonight, the conversation, what we're having tonight is: does intelligence equate success? And I'm sure, guys, I want you guys to go ahead and comment down below. What do you really think? Let's think about it. There's no, trust me, we're gonna learn something tonight. But really, what do you think? Does intelligence equate success? I spoke to a few people, and people said, most people told me, they said, intelligence does not equate success. Do you think intelligence equates success, or do you think something else equates success? What is your viewpoint, right? Let me go ahead and start with you, Dr. Jamarious. What do you think about that question? Does intelligence equate success?
Actually, I can affirmatively say that I do not believe that intelligence, as we have defined it, equates success. But I do know that before I could even answer that question, when you first asked me that question, it was a question that I explored because I know that there is no right or wrong answer to that question. But I'm going to stand behind the fact that I don't believe intelligence equates success. Merely because we live in a world where everything is not just about the GPA that you graduated with, nor is everything about the quantitative profiles that we subscribe to. There are a host of skill sets and a host of values and a host of responses and reactions that individuals need to know how to navigate in order to be successful in their respective fields. And not just as a professional, but as a human being. And so when we think about the evolving definition of intelligence, we need to understand that there is cultural and social context that must be considered as well in light of our definitions of intelligence. And so to your question, no, intelligence does not equate success.
Okay. Does anyone disagree to that? I actually have my own stand on this. And yes, you are at Rethink Life where we unlearn to relearn. And I love what he did say something specific. He said, as we have defined intelligence. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about that area. So when I first the question, right, does intelligence equate success? And the thing that I understood for me, and I agree with you 100%, that it's based on how we have defined it.
Yes.
Now, from my own perspective, does intelligence equate success? I'm going to tell you yes. I'm going to we're going to go at it. Yes, I'm going to tell you that intelligence does equate success. But what do I mean by that? You see, there's really no right or wrong answer in this situation. It's quite interesting. There's really no right or wrong. But let me go ahead and add a little bit, right? Does intelligence equate success? Yes. But the real true answer is when, where, and what.
Yes.
Again, does intelligence equate success? Yes. But the key part is, when does it equate success?
Okay.
Where does it equate success? And when and what type of its intelligence are we talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you guys think about that? Let's talk about it.
I think many people would agree that we cannot just negate the importance of intelligence in the world that we live in. But I think when we exclusively say that intelligence quotient is the only determinant of that success, then I think we err. We err in that, employers have responded in research studies saying that, the graduates from Ivy League institutions are not necessarily the ones that are producing the highest levels of performance anymore. Because, see, school is now over. And so now, how are you going to put those skills into practice? There's no more going to class and reading the books. Now, how are you going to transfer this information and this knowledge storehouse that you have into actual production of goals and actual production of results? And so when I think about that, I'm always reminded that I have to ask myself a series of questions, and in evaluating my intelligence daily. How do I respond to others' values, others' beliefs? How do I navigate critical problem solving and critical reasoning? How do I determine what is the best decision today as opposed to what is the best decision tomorrow? And so these types of questions, they are daily, daily reminders to us of the fact that intelligence is an evolving piece of us. I want to speak very clearly about the fact that when intelligence quotient testing was developed, it was developed to identify learners with disabilities. It was developed to establish a social order of can'ts and cannots. But will you believe that even former presidents of the United States, specifically President John F. Kennedy, he scored very low on IQ testing, yet he became president of the United States.
Oh,
so when we think about that, the science would say, well, he wasn't very intelligent, but yet he remains at the mark of history as one of our most prolific presidents of the United States, developing Medicare, as you guys know it today,
Hmm.
developing civil rights bills that you
Hmm.
guys enjoy today. And so I'm very, very, very always cautious about the way that I define intelligence. And I'm mindful of the history of intelligence quotient testing in this country.
Oh my goodness. I love what you just said. And the key part, guys, listen to what I said, right? Listen very clearly. Yes, everything you said, I agree with. But I'm going to tell you guys the key word, right? And I'm going to explain to you why I say intelligence does equate success. Now, if we're saying, does intelligence quotient equate success? Now, I'm going to tell you no. Okay. I would definitely tell you no way. Now, but the key word, because the thing is, what does intelligence equate success? The intelligence itself, does it equate success? I'm gonna tell you yes, right? And the thing is that Dr. Ugochukwu and I we're saying the same thing, but we're just saying it very differently. So he is making sure he's clear with you guys to understand that the way we define intelligence as of today, right? That does not equate success. I'm saying the same exact thing. The way we define intelligence as of today, right? When we talk about it, because let's think about it. When we think of intelligence, how do you guys define that? Right, go ahead. I see your information, Dr. Martins. He's also here. He says the application of intelligence does. Okay, very good. We're gonna come back. Yes, absolutely. And that's where we're going to. Absolutely. What is your definition of intelligence? This is personal to you. What do you, when you say, oh, I feel intelligent or I feel like I'm successful, what does that look like? The last speaker I had here, her name is Dr. She's Miss Nina Wrights. And she said that her success was her family not having to require anything of her. When I say family,
Oh, wow.
extended family.
Wow.
No, keyword, extended family.
Wow.
Not having to require something of her.
Wow.
Right. And it's like, because she's like, and this is, and somebody else, that my definition of success is me living in my life purpose.
Yes.
Right. Somebody else, please go ahead. What is your definition of success? There's no right or wrong answer. Somebody else's my family is wealthy. They're able to live life the way they hope for. Somebody else is nobody is sick.
Mm,
Somebody else is I have money in the bank that I can use whenever I want to.
mm,
Somebody else is, seeing my family happy and joyful.
mm,
Somebody else is waking up every day. That's success to them. I can breathe. I can take a walk,
mm,
because maybe they couldn't do that all the rest of their lives.
mm.
So what is your definition of success?
For me, success is intangible,
Hmm.
in that is more about your levels of love and joy and peace,
Ooh.
and
Hmm.
and your proximity to your happiness
Mm.
is success. The closer you get to what makes you a better person in the world that you live in for yourself and also for others, is my definition of success. I don't label success with markers of money, or markers of degrees, or markers of businesses you own, or markers of anything that's tangible. I think that success
Hmm.
is intangible, because there has to be something behind the tangible that is driving you. And
Mhm.
so the moment that you can tap into whatever those catalysts are for your life, then now you have reached the pinnacle of success, because people spend their whole lives
Hmm.
trying to find out, what is it that will make them successful. And they realize that usually it's not the size of the house or the size of your bank account.
Mm.
Usually it is you tapping into that part of you that says, hey, I feel good about what I do.
Hey.
Hey, I actually like to see others rise with me.
Hmm.
Hey, I've gotten to the point now where I'm beyond comparison, and I'm now set in my own definition of authenticity.
Hmm.
And so that is, for me, success.
Hmm.
Do you wake up in the morning and say, I feel good about who I am?
Mm.
Do you wake up in the morning and say, I feel good about what I'm charged to do, or I have charged myself to do?
Amen.
And so if you can say that, then you reach success. Um,
Hey.
because your cars will get old,
Hmm.
your homes will depreciate in value, and your relationships will fluctuate from day to day. You know,
Hey, hey, hey.
so you have to have something that drives you. So whenever you can tap into that, I believe you've reached success.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. That was amazing. I love your definition, right? And and like everyone, of course, like we mentioned, is gonna look very differently to each person, right? I really love your definition. So let's go to the dictionary, right? Let's talk about what does the dictionary say about success. So
Okay, so
I
me.
yeah. So the right success, it's literally the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, right? Whatever that is for you, right? The attainment for some people of fame, wealth, social status, right? A person or a thing, right? It could be some people, success is either the good or the bad outcome of an undertaking, right? The meaning of success is degree of measure of succeeding. Now let's talk
Yes,
about it, right? Just to reiterate, it could be achieving when you achieve your goals, right? Success can be defined by that. You achieved
yes.
your goals, you graduated, you got doctorates, you got masters, you got all this stuff, or you got the award, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you got the musical award, the
Yes,
next thing, yeah, you get the idea, right? Somebody else success is when they're trying their best, right?
yes,
They've overcome whatever the obstacle is. Now they set a goal, they achieved it. Somebody else
yes,
is they're pursuing what they want for life, right?
yes,
So
yes,
somebody else is they're finding their passion, right? What is something that makes them happy, joyful, fulfilled, lessen their boredom, right?
yes,
Finding justice. Somebody else, like you mentioned, peace of mind. Ooh,
yes.
hallelujah. Right? Somebody else is actually troublemaking. I've met somebody like that before. They don't
Yes,
want peace. They want war always, okay? Everybody's so different. Literally, somebody else, it's literally lifestyle design, being able to work, the life work balance. Somebody else is prioritizing their family, their health.
yes,
So getting the degree, some, like I said, significant increase in your salary, right? Holding a high level of position in your job. Now you have the status. So now you feel important. You feel you're successful. It really
yes,
varies from each person to each person. Now, the definition of intelligence is the ability, keyword, ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. That's intelligence. So if you look thinking about that word, so do you think about it? The ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. I said that I believe that intelligence equates success. So what I'm saying is that your ability to acquire knowledge and the skills required can equate success. Remember, I said to you guys, it's a matter of what, when, and where. What kind of intelligence are we talking about? Dr.
Well,
Jamarious,
when
please
we think
go
about
ahead.
that definition that you gave is a very clear definition, but it is subjective.
Tell me
That
about that.
when we think about the acquisition, you
Hmm.
spoke about how the definition says the ability to acquire and apply knowledge, right?
Yes. And
So when we
skills.
speak
Yes.
about acquisition of knowledge, you know, what does that look like for individuals may differ from culture to culture, era to era, gender to gender. It may what differ, right?
Absolutely.
So, and so the application, and then when we speak about the application of that knowledge, to what degree are you defining application? Because
Mm,
some people may say, are you expecting me to produce something
mm,
that is tangible, or are you expecting me to have something innately within me? And so this definition of intelligence, as I said to you, can get very murky because some people say, I don't even consider the acquisition or the application of skills and knowledge. Rather, I am considering, can I do the job that I've been assigned to do?
mm,
I'm not thinking about that.
mm,
I'm not thinking about that day to day. I'm just doing what I was charged to do. You got to think about it. The proletariat in this country
mm.
is divided between white collar jobs and blue collar jobs. And when we speak about white collar jobs, we speak about jobs that require you just to have the marks of intelligence, such as degrees and credentials. You won't find too many manual laborers who are considered to be white collar. It means that you have a level of education that compels you not to start at the entry, or not to mop the floor, or not to do any of the hard work. Right? You're white collared, but blue collar professions, you may not have those advanced degrees, but yet you have a job before you to do. And you may not have even time to think about that job that is before you, but ultimately you're expected to perform. And the only distinction between the white collar and the blue collar job is this mark or definition of intelligence. But I submit to you today that there are white collar workers who are successful, and there are blue collar workers who are successful. There are white collar workers who are millionaires, blue collar workers who are millionaires.
Yes.
So when I say that no, intelligence does not equate success, I'm saying to you, there are people who wake up and they ain't acquired no knowledge. They want to do their job in the best way that their experience has taught them to do it. So remember, there's no word of experience in the definition of intelligence that you have just outlined. There's no word of culture. There's no word of mentorship. There's no word of apprenticeship that is included in your definition of intelligence. And so that's why I'm saying no.
Okay, so I love that you went this route, and we're gonna go a different way in a second. But before we go there, right, the key word I want again, and I understand what you're saying. So let's think about it. It said the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. Now, about what you just mentioned about the types, that it's relative to each individual. Remember what we just said right now. What is the definition of success for you? We spoke about that, right? And it looks different for each individual as we understand better now, right? Success. So somebody else could be working the white collar job. I always say, let's put it this way: just because knowledge is very interesting, there's no bad or good knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. Whether you do something, it's knowledge. You don't do it, it's also knowledge. Understand that. You have experience in doing nothing, and you also have experience in doing something. So just because it's knowledge does not mean that you have, when we think, you don't think because you have knowledge means you have good, even like there's no bad or good, but don't think because you have knowledge means you have applicable knowledge that is necessary for that state that you're in. So again, so it is relative, absolutely. And that is why we understand that the way the society defines intelligence, it's not necessarily the way intelligence is really defined. Intelligence, it's really just saying, hey, it's your ability, whatever the ability that you have, or you think you consider, to acquire whatever knowledge you think you have, right? So you can have dumb knowledge, middle good knowledge, or high knowledge, or whatever that is, or high intelligence, whatever. It doesn't matter, even though it's high, low, or medium. But the idea is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. So I understand what you're saying from that aspect. But let's go a little bit this way. Let's talk about the types of intelligence we have. Does anybody know do you know the type of intelligence that we have? Go ahead, and you can enlighten us a little bit further. I do have something prepared just in case as well. But do you know the types of intelligence we have? Go ahead.
Well, I think that what it comes down to at the root of types of intelligence, before I could speak very clearly about the types of intelligence, I want to speak very clearly about the binary of neocortex versus amygdala. The neocortex part of the brain is your cognitive center, where thought processes occur, and then you have where that would be your IQ section, right? You have the amygdala of your brain, which is where the responses for survival are happening, where the emotions are being stored, and so you might not even believe that the amygdala moves and processes faster than the neocortex.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
Because survival is happening daily. Even when class ends, survival continues. And so this, at the root of us looking at different types of intelligence, is understanding that our brain has the function of the neocortex, and the
Mm.
function of the amygdala. And the amygdala can literally make the neocortex of none effect.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
when you get so entrapped in your emotions, you
Oh.
stop thinking
Hmm.
effectively. You can stop processing mentally those things that you need to process. And
Hmm.
so it speaks about how having a balance between the two is healthy and is successful, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Because too much of your emotions
Oh,
shut down your thinking pattern. So I
yes.
want to speak very clearly that we have EQ, which is your emotional, or EI, your emotional intelligence, right?
Mhm.
We have the emotional intelligence is, of course, how do I navigate my emotions, the emotions of others, and the responses of my emotion to my emotions and that of others, right?
Hmm.
That's EI,
Hmm.
emotional intelligence. Then we have moral intelligence, right? Or MQ, moral quotient,
Okay.
right? Where there is a set of values or value systems or beliefs that impact your actions or that impact the way that you navigate the world that you subscribe to,
Hmm.
right? And so these values, you have to understand, they evolve with time. They
Mm-hmm.
remain stagnant. The
Hmm.
same values that you had when you were in your father's house, it should be a little bit different now that
Hmm.
you are outside of your father's house, right?
Hmm.
That you remain an individual who is ever evolving
Mm-hmm.
your values, because you understand that you live in a diverse world and you live and work amongst diverse people. And
Hmm.
so the values that you subscribe to may not be the values that someone else subscribe to, but ultimately you must be aware of where you stand,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Without compromising, right?
Yes.
And so that is that is moral intelligence, right? But then we have BQ or BI, body quotient or body intelligence, where this happens when we go into the grocery store, right?
Hmm.
Are we taking in inventory of those nutritional choices that we make, or unnutritional choices that we make,
Hmm.
right? Are we being cognizant of how many hours we contributed to physical exercise? Are we
Hmm.
being cognizant of how many times that we have allowed sort of these toxins, which really generate stress, to have roots in our life? And so that is your body question. How are you treating your body today? Huh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for adding that. I really appreciate, the enlighten us on the three types of the quotients that we have: the body, the moral, and I believe the emotional. Correct
Emotional,
so far?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I'm gonna deviate just briefly. So when we talk, when I'm sure most of you have heard, right? Um, when it comes to intelligence, the way the society thinks of intelligence, most of us are thinking actually memorization, right? Let's talk about that portion. We're talking about, how fast can you really answer the question that he's asking you? Do you have good memory about what happened in 1979 history class, right? Whatever, right? Or 1960, perceptual reasoning. And also verbal comprehension. So for you, and I'm sure you will agree with me. The time when we think of the intelligence that we've been framed or trained from when we were younger till now, most of the intelligence types we're thinking of, it's, hey, you know what type of intelligence does the IQ test, right? What type of intelligence does the IQ test?
Yes.
We know the four major areas of intelligence that they're testing is verbal comprehension scale, a
Yes.
perceptual reasoning scale, a working
Yes.
memory scale, and a processing speed scale. Now, the definition of intelligence that I gave you earlier has nothing to do with that. It just says the ability to
Yes.
acquire and apply knowledge and skills. But when we talk about the type of intelligence that they're testing, or we've been trained from such a young age till now, it's a
Yeah.
different situation. Also, another person that talks a little bit more, I just want to give you guys a brief overview of the multiple intelligence we have. We have a research that was done, right? A theory that was done by Howard Gardner, right?
Yeah.
It talks about the multiple intelligence that we have. We have the
Yes.
spatial intelligence, whereby it's, your strengths are your visual, your spatial
Yes.
judgment. So you're someone that, for example, you like to draw for fun.
Mm,
You are good at puzzles. You can recognize patterns, and you can
mm,
also interpret visuals well, right? So you may do really well in the art class or something like that. Think about like,
yes.
or maybe chemistry, anything that has to do with spatial architecture. Now we
Absolutely.
also have the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. In this case, your strengths are physical movement, motor control. So we have now, think about it, the dancers, right? You're skilled at sports, you're excellent physical coordination. You remember things by doing it. You actually have to put
Oh,
hands on.
yes.
You remember doing instead of hearing or seeing things. You're more of a doer. Now
Yes.
we have musical intelligence, which has to do with rhythm and music, right? In this case, you have appreciation for music. You think in sounds and patterns. You have a rich understanding of musical structure and notes. We have linguistic intelligence, right? I mean, I try my best, but as you can tell, Dr. Ugochukwu does better. So everybody has their own, okay? I'll tell you. But for me, right, I will tell you what my skill was. But linguistic intelligence, right, it has to do with your strengths are words, language, writing. So, right, you're also that you enjoy, for example, writing, reading. I do like reading, but I also like poetry, but for the most part. In this case, you enjoy writing, reading, you're good at public speaking. You're very persuasive and you can explain things very well. So you're probably a
Absolutely.
poet, someone that's a writer. Now
Yes.
we are a lawyer. Someone else, you have logical mathematical skills. So in this case, you have the strengths of analyzing problems, mathematical operations. I love math. I'm that kind of person. Yeah, call me.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Not me.
yeah, your characteristics involve your fast problem solver. You understand complex situations, computations. You like to think about abstract ideas. Another type of intelligence is interpersonal. Keyword interpersonal. In this case, you have strengths. Your strength lies in understanding and relating with others. You have strong emotional intelligence skills. You can create healthy relationships. You're good at solving conflicts. Another is intra, which has to do with you. You are someone that is introspective. You can self-reflect. You have characteristics, of being able to understand where you stand in the world, who you are. You know your
Yes.
strengths, you know your skills, you know your weaknesses. You're highly self-aware, right?
Yes.
You're sensitive to one's own feelings. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
these are people that will be great in psychology, psychiatries, those kind of people. Okay.
Mhm.
Yes. Now you also have the naturalistic intelligence. These are more like your scientists. So these people are like, earth people. So they like seeing patterns and relationships to nature. They like hiking, for example. They're interested in areas like botany, biology, zoology, appreciation
Wow.
for nature. They enjoy activities like camping, gardening, hiking. Now, when this is just very, very fascinating. It's so sad that they didn't teach us all these things in school. I wish, I wish they did,
Uh,
because a lot of people would have really found themselves way, way earlier. I wish I knew this about myself. I didn't know this thing. I later figured it out later down the line, right?
wow.
I studied biology, but if I knew this about myself, I would have not studied biology. Okay, I was
Yeah.
and at the time of studying biology, it was because I wanted to do something that didn't come so natural to me. I thought, being just, very, very complex is better. Not really. No. Do things that are easy and it's really you. You'll do
Yes.
better in
Yes.
that. You'll be able to,
Yes.
So my point is, when I did this assessment, what I found for myself is that I realized, and like I said, this can also evolve. What do you think about that? Can this multiple intelligence, do you think it can evolve over time? Can we strengthen some areas? Can we, or is it something that is, or is it that you are naturally gifted and it cannot be changed? What do you think about that, Dr. Ugochukwu?
Well, I've had the opportunity to work with students who had a host of diverse learning preferences and of diverse learning styles.
Hmm.
And so I'm very familiar with the research that you have cited from Gardner's
Yes.
multiple intelligences. And these go hand in hand with Maslow's hierarchy of need.
Woo. Mm.
We speak about I think when we speak about whether or not there can be a duality of these multiple intelligences, yes, it is so, because one who is an auditory learner can easily be one who is also a visual learner.
Hmm.
And one who is a bodily kinesthetic learner can also be one who is a linguistic and spatial learner. And
Yes.
so there is no concrete
One.
uh, position of intelligence. Intelligence is fluid,
Hmm.
right? It moves and evolves as we move and evolve with our experiences and with our skill sets,
Hmm.
right? And so in one classroom, you could see maybe 25 students, and all of them bring with them a host
Hmm.
of intelligences.
Hmm.
So what I like about what you said is that you have to tap into what you thrive in intelligence as being, because
Yeah.
intelligence is a state of being.
Hmm. Hmm.
Are you,
Yes.
are you when someone asks you, are you intelligent? What really are they asking you?
Oh my God. Yes.
Or is she intelligent or is he intelligent? What really are they asking?
Absolutely.
Well, they're asking, how does he or she acquire and use knowledge?
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
so you will get a different definition of that from individual to individual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But what I want to bring our attention to is how um, there is a demand for reform in our schools with the way that we teach kids about intelligence. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was in school, especially high school, they geared us all up toward scoring the highest on the SAT or the ACT.
I know.
Well,
Right?
it was like we were boggled down with that. Like if we didn't score high on those tests, we felt that our future was doomed or something.
Yes.
Right. And so we have to, as you said, rethink social structures, because remember, intelligence is also a social construct,
Mm-hmm.
right, in itself, because the depending on where you grew up and depending on what types of values were inculcated in you and the types of experiences that you had, this all hodgepodges together like a great recipe and produces what you ultimately subscribe to as intelligence. And
Hmm.
so when you think about in the schools, we preference the A student over the student who's failing.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, we've never asked the question of how can the F student thrive in the same way that the
Hmm.
A student is thriving? Are there available pathways for the A student, quote unquote, to thrive in the same way as the quote unquote F student? Because see, the truth of the matter is there is no A versus F student,
Hey.
right? We just
Woo.
have socially constructed that in this arena of the classroom, if
Yes.
you are not academically attuned,
Yes.
then you're possibly going to be labeled as one of the ones who is a failing student.
I'm
And
telling
if you
you.
are academically attuned, you might be labeled as one of the ones that are superior. But I come
Literally.
to question that both the quote unquote A profile of a student and the quote unquote F profile of the student contains both strengths and deficits.
Amen to that.
Carol Dweck, Carol Dweck talked about growth versus deficit mindset.
Hmm.
And so when we speak about inculcating in students having a growth versus fixed mindset,
Oh my God.
fixed
Yes.
mindset says, oh, I've been failing math all of these years, so I'm not good at math.
I'm telling you.
Or fixed mindset says, I've been failing English all of these years, so therefore I'm bad at reading and writing. That's
Hmm.
not so.
Yes.
That's not so. That is just the results of what you have or your experiences of what you have faced. That is not the reality of the truth. The truth of the
Absolutely.
matter is you have not tapped into what makes you the best version of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
100%. Yes, absolutely, guys. So this is definitely a beautiful message we need to, ensure these younger generations are aware of. Again, yes, you may not be excelling in science class. That does not mean you're a failure. It does not mean that. Your
yes,
strength or your intelligence, your type of intelligence, right? It's maybe your spatial, it's more maybe about spatial intelligence.
Yes.
Somebody else, it's logical intelligence. Somebody else is intrapersonal. Somebody else is interpersonal. And funny thing is that, let's talk about it, right? If you're working in the marketing, let's fast forward. You've grown now, right? You're working, you may be working in a marketing company. Do you think they need your let me put it this way, you think they need your body? Okay, let's put it, maybe they might need a little bit of bodily kinetic, but for the most part they probably don't need maybe spatial intelligence, let's put it that way,
No.
right? They might need more, or they might not need your musical intelligence that could entice the individual that you want to sell to. That's great. But what they really need in that moment is intrapersonal or
Absolutely.
intrapersonal intelligence. So someone
Absolutely.
that is thriving in logical mathematical skills may not do well as a salesperson, because maybe that's not the type of intelligence that is required. And somebody that is a scientist, right, that is working, that their intelligence type is naturalistic intelligence, they may not thrive in a place that requires intrapersonal intelligence, because if
Right.
they don't have that, this is why, let's put it this way, this is why people sometimes feel like they're working and they feel like it feels like a heavy burden, because
Oh,
you're not in the right environment. You're
wow.
not working in the right environment. You are someone that you figure out what your intelligence style is. You're supposed to be a linguistic, and your highest level is linguistic intelligence, but you're working in a place that requires logical mathematical skills. How are you gonna, like, how is that gonna be easy job?
Yes.
It's
You know,
not.
and what I will say though, Doyen, is we also cannot undergird the fact that um, we need a diversity of intelligence in the
Yes.
workplace.
Yes.
We
Oh,
should
that's
be
okay.
celebrating people who are the brains and people who are the hands. We should be celebrating this. When psychologist Stanley Greenspan first brought emotional intelligence research to the forefront in the 80s, what he did was he took children and he studied children who had mental disabilities, right? And what he wanted to know is, how were people tapping into that child's struggles?
Hmm.
And so what he did was he said he invented this theory of floor time,
Hmm.
right? You know how we get on the floor with our children and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on the
Yes.
floor, right?
Yes.
And we play with them and we tap into their language and we tap into what they like and what they don't like, right?
Hmm.
And so he spoke about how in doing that, we were able to invest in the child's intelligence,
Hmm.
right? Because just because you're deemed mentally disabled does not mean you don't have intelligence, right? And
Absolutely.
so that's where his research began. And then his research was expanded by the Harvard psychologists of Peter Salovey and John Mayer.
Hmm.
What they did was now put a name to it and called it EQ,
Hmm.
emotional quotient. And they
Hmm.
said, hey, here are the 5 domains of emotional quotient, right? And when it was funny because they literally just took his research and they segmented it into really stages of our life,
Hmm.
right? That we go through, because self-awareness is a stage, right? And self-management of your emotions, that's another stage in life
Hmm.
altogether.
Absolutely.
So they develop these competencies, and I don't want to bore the audience by talking about the competencies, but
That's okay.
there are 19 of them, and I charge us to really look into that. What the research of John D. Mayer and Peter Salovey,
Okay.
and following them came Daniel Goleman.
Okay.
Now, Daniel Goleman's research is the research that really brought this question.
Hmm.
Really have us arguing about the answer to this question, because
No, we know the answer, but go ahead. Yeah, I love this.
he
Yeah, go ahead.
said, your intelligence also has an impact on your leadership performance.
Amen to that. 100%. Yes.
And he said, those
Yes.
those people who are going to have these Fortune 500 companies or who are going to be successful in business are the ones who have a high emotional
Hmm.
intelligence.
Hmm.
In that emotional intelligence requires you to be able to manage behaviors and
Hmm.
manage people's attitudes. You know, what do you do as the business owner when the customer says, I don't want your product or your service?
Hmm.
Do you shut down?
Let's pause on that one. We're gonna go there shortly. We're gonna go there. I want to because that's our next conversation, right? And I just wanted to reiterate this part. You said celebrate varying intelligence. Absolutely, I agree with you that we must, like, don't get it wrong. But just because you know your type of intelligence is linguistic does not mean you cannot develop other areas, right? You can still develop the intrapersonal. That's why we have mentorship, coaching, right? You need to read books, right? I'm reading a book. I'm
Oh,
reading this crazy book. It's called Surrounded by Idiots. It's crazy,
oh,
but it's a very weird book. It's funny. The title is very. I'm like, what the hell? What kind of book is this? But when I open this book, I'm like, yo, I'm learning so much about the different types of personalities that we have. It's very important as business owners or wherever, if you're working with other people, to understand what kind of people are you working with? Who are
yes,
you as a leader, like you mentioned?
yes,
And it's very important that, yes, absolutely, I believe in celebrating varying intelligence, but most importantly, it's very important that we put people in the right place of work.
yes.
If you want your business to thrive, make sure you put people in the right place of work. What do I mean by that?
Oh,
Identify the kind of personality or the type of person they are, right? Is it blue, green, red? If you read the book about Surrounded by Idiots, I know it sounds crazy, but like I said, read that book, you will understand what I mean by blue, yellow, green, and blue, and red. You will understand that. Understand this, the type of people you're talking to, so you can connect with them. Also understand the type of intelligence each individual brings to the table, so you can put them in the right place or environment where they can then help your business grow. If you
absolutely.
put in people that are supposed to be, they're very, if they're naturally linguistically intelligent, you are not going to have to struggle so much to
Right,
try to help them,
right,
build and refine that gifts that God has given them. This is
right,
really going back to purpose for life, literally.
right.
So let's now go into this
But
conversation you
before you
just
move
mentioned.
on, I
Go
want
ahead.
to leave you with the quote, though.
Yeah. Oh, we're not done yet, but go ahead. Yes.
Dr. You guys know him very well, Boston
Yes.
University graduate, Dr. King. He said,
Yes.
intelligence plus character, that is the true goal of education.
Hmm.
And so that's just a stinging indictment to the type of, if you just think about your school experiences, you know, what types of teachers did you have? Did you have teachers who separated the A student from the F student?
Oh my God.
Did you have teachers who gave all of you an opportunity to learn in the best way that you learn?
Hmm.
Or did you have teachers who said, there's only one way to doing this, and this is the way we're doing it?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, what types of teachers did you have? And it also starts at home. What types of teachers did you have in your home? Your parents, your
Yes.
mentors, and your whoever was around you and affected your value system. What did they say? Did they say, hey, you only can be a nurse or a doctor in here?
Oh no.
Or, hey, this is the home where we don't have no pianists and we don't have no dancers in here. We only have
I know, right? Seriously.
lawyers and doctors, and everyone
Hmm.
else. We don't need that here in this family. And so
Yes.
when you think about that, how much of your life did you really have excluded from you, or how much of life's offerings did
Hmm.
you have excluded from you because you grew up in an environment where intelligence was simply, hey, do it this way and make
Linguistic
it
or logical?
right.
Yeah, intelligence.
Do it this way and get these results, or hey, you're not intelligent in here. And
Hmm.
so, if you're going to consider intelligence, then what is unintelligence?
Hmm.
Um,
Ooh.
because unintelligence would be the exact opposite of intelligence. It would simply mean the undoing of the acquisition and the undoing of the application of skills.
Hmm. And
So, the
knowledge.
moment that you are hindered from
Yes.
those things in multiple realms of your life, then you become unintelligent.
And more likely for success.
Unhappy.
unlikely to have the success you also want, right? This is why it's, instead of I'm not saying that, I love what you just said about the type of family, we live in. That has a whole lot to do, because a lot of parents, don't get it wrong, they don't want their children to not thrive in life. They don't want their children to suffer. So they, to them, it's like, oh, doctor, nurse, lawyer, that banking, accountant, whatever. But most of the time, right now, we are look at the generation we're living in now, right? People say, if you really want to make money, why don't you go study people that have made money, the billionaires? What kind of industry are they in? Are half
Yes,
of them even in science? You'll be
yes,
surprised. Probably less. A whole lot. Look at the millionaire in the world, the billionaires of the world. Are they medical doctors? Look at that. Like, I'm not saying be driven by money, but point is, if that is really what you want to do, why don't you go study the kind of industry they are? See if your type of intelligence matches that area, and if you also have, because that means if it's really who you are naturally, you probably have passion for that, right?
yes,
It's already gifted within you, so it comes naturally, which you can enjoy it because
yes,
God gave it to you. Now
absolutely.
let's talk about this area. This is the last part of our episode. And again, thank you so much for that information. But again, I want you guys to really live in your gifting. That's the whole essence of this thing that we're talking about. I want to, empower young adults, young children, at the age of 13, they're trying to figure out who they are.
Mhm.
Parents are also still trying. It's so crazy. People are trying to figure out who they are, even though they're still working. Let's think
Right.
about it. Why do you think most of the people, right? A lot of people are working, but they feel like they have the burnout, right? They're burnt out. That's number one. Another thing is the old ways. Let's talk about the old ways. Most of the time when we think about success, right? Most of the time, the way we were raised, hard, you work hard. Work hard and you can be successful. Well, guess what? Out the window. All right. That's old news now. It's so crazy, but literally out the window. Yes, you can work hard. How do it's more like not necessarily work hard, but work smart too. Right?
That reminds me of that old adage that says, the race is not to the swift, but it is to those who can endure.
Hmm.
Right. And so, when you talk about the undo, I even love that you said, we have to rethink and undo things. That's the mission of your show,
Yeah.
period.
Unlearn to
But
relearn. Rethink life with
yes,
Doyin. Yes.
the intersectionality of your upbringing versus reality
Yeah.
is something that we explore daily,
Oh yeah.
because we're taught to work hard and you'll get the results.
I'm telling you.
Actually, that is not the case, because we have these systems that are set up in the world that are invariably opposed to you based on a number of factors, right?
Yes.
Your
Yes. Yes.
intelligence that you
Yes.
bring, right?
Yes.
Your value system, your
Net.
experiences, and even your credentials.
Yes. Yes.
Frankly, right? There are systems in place where it can really you can be the hardest worker ever, and because these glass ceilings exist,
Even with the highest degree too.
right?
Still. Mm-hmm.
These glass ceilings exist. And so now you're up against, hey, you're a hard worker, but we don't appreciate your hard work.
We
And
don't like your emotional intelligence.
right.
We just
We
don't
don't
like
need
you.
the hard work here. We don't need people who work hard here. We need people
Yes.
who do other things.
Who are maybe interpersonal,
Yes.
who have special intelligence. You must identify that. It's so crazy because I read an article. That article was quite enlightening. I really love what you're saying right now. So the article says I read it this evening. It was talking about, it says, I often hear people tell me that they feel their work is getting in the way of their life. And
Mm,
when they're not, by the way, they're not joking. That's what it says. It said, in fact, several recent research studies find that the workplace is pretty unpleasant for many people. Large
mm,
numbers of men and women are they're severely stressed, depressed at work. They're often to the point of being unable to function, and they're becoming sick emotionally and physically. The numbers are at the highest level. Conventional explanations points to career uncertainties in today's economy or heavy workloads. Those are obvious contributors, but I think such explanation miss a deeper, more systematic problem that's pervasive throughout the workplace culture of most organizations. So what I'm trying to say to you here is people think, oh, you work hard, or the old ways of thinking, oh, you work hard, then you become successful. You or passing down generational wealth, then that's how people are. No, that's not the reality at this time. Yeah,
Right.
the part about, don't get it wrong, passing down just generational wealth can help you, right? Hard work can help you, but the whole idea is what would increase it.
Right.
What is going to increase it? It's you working in the right environment, having the right, making sure your emotional intelligence or the type of intelligence you have is going to be able to thrive in the environment you're in.
Right.
That is why I say intelligence doesn't equate success. It's a matter of where are you working?
Right. Right.
When do you need it? If I need to talk to children, I better not use the high intelligence or whatever that I better learn how to use linguistic intelligence and be able to come down to their level, right?
Yes.
And what type of intelligence is required? That's
Right.
what you need to pay attention to when we talk about the business model, right? Most of in this article that I read, it talks about the issues what people are facing when it comes to if you want to open a business, right? You mentioned the quotients, emotional quotient, the body quotient, and also what's the last one?
Moral quotient.
Moral quotient, right? And this is very when I coach coach people on how to open their business, I coach them on understanding the pillars. You have to know what makes you you. What are your values? And these are going to be the pillars of your business, right? You mentioned if you have to, for example, sell to someone, right? And how do you interact with them? How do you make them feel? You told me about an article whereby you said the people are not, how did you say? You said people don't buy. Please tell me how you told Dr.
Right.
Dr. Jamarious. Repeat that.
When we had our phone conversation previously, I spoke to you about how there was a research study that yielded that people would more often buy from the business owner that has a lesser quality of product or service than from the business owner that has a higher quality of service, simply because they like the one with the lesser quality of service. And why is that, you ask? Why would people be more prone to pay their money for something that's less quality? Well, it's the way that they feel when they come to purchase. It's the reason that they keep coming to purchase that same quote unquote low quality of product or service. And it's the reason that they will continue to speak about it, right? And to promote it, because it is the way that they are received. Reception is everything.
Oh,
so you can have a high quality product or service and you make no sales because
of the way you make them feel.
Reception of what you are selling to the customer is very poor.
Absolutely.
In that you're not considering how do I keep customers who don't necessarily like my product? How do I bring forth customers to even knowing what my product or service is? Am I clear about my mission and my vision? Am I tapping into how the customer best thrives, or how my product will help the customer to be better? Because all of us as customers just want to know, how's my life going to be made better by me paying you?
Hey, seriously, in plain English, yes.
And so you have to have the wherewithal to be able to say, hey, I lost some customers today, but I'm not going to lose any more customers tomorrow, because I'm going to self-reflect and I'm going to fine-tune that criticism into constructive practice. I am going to sit back and I am going to raise these sales of my company, because I am going to first deal with the things that have nothing to do with sales, such as respect of the customer, such as appreciation of the customer's time, such as giving the customers an outlet to review your product or service. Some of us, we fear criticism. I don't want you talking about my product, it's mine. You have to be open to saying, okay, 20 people gave me 2 stars and only 5 gave me 5 stars. Now, what am I going to do with this? Right? What am I going to do? I rather focus on the ones that gave me the 2 stars than the ones that gave me the 5 stars, because the 2 stars are telling you the truth about the product or your service that you are just glistening over. We love to cushion ourselves with the positive feedback, but we have to take in some of that destructive feedback and turn it into constructive practice.
Absolutely.
And it hurts for somebody to tell you that your product or your service doesn't satisfy them or doesn't meet their needs. It hurts for you to be able to be told that, because you know you've worked hard on this product or this service and it's yours. You know, your name is behind it, but you can't get caught up on those idiosyncrasies.
But you know what? Can I add something to that? Let me at the same time, right? I understand the perception of the customer. You want to take that into consideration. I agree with you. But there are also multiple factors when it comes to people listening to what you're giving them. Right. You can, let's assume you give, because respect looks very different to each person.
Yes.
Right? Somebody else saying, sir, ma'am, is disrespectful. Because you're making them feel older than they are. How dare you say, sir, ma'am? Somebody else is like, oh, that's so respectful. Or somebody could be, oh, she's condescending. Like don't get it wrong. I'm not gonna say all the way like the idea of like, yes, take in consideration the negative comments. But at the same time, like you said, reflect on that. Take that on. Use that, to your advantage to try to, come up with something new that can help you with your business thriving. Right. But so, at the same time, understand there are going to be some people that just don't like you because, because you have to understand in psychiatry, we sometimes, even as providers, or even the therapist can be a trigger. You can be a trigger, or even you, the seller, can be a trigger because you look like somebody that they used to know. And you piss them off. So we have to also keep that in mind. But again, constructive criticism. If someone just tells you, I don't like you, I mean, they don't give you a reason. Okay, I don't know why. But if you give me a reason, then I can think about, okay, what can I do better? And the ones that like you also ask, what is it that you're doing better that is helping you? That is helping them or making them want to keep coming back to you. You're leaving these people with something. Right? So ask the ones that also give you 5-star review. All of them are reflective of whatever you're doing. Understand, we can't satisfy everybody in the world.
Understand also that the solution to improving your business plan or your business model begins with a question. Right? Too many times we make statements like, oh, the customer doesn't like my product or my service, rather than asking, what is it about my product or my service that the customer does not like? Too many times we say things like, the customer feels I'm wasting their time, rather than saying, how has my product or service aligned with customers' definition of time?
Amen. Exactly. Get to the bottom of that.
Concepts. One research study spoke about how people who have high emotional quotients are able to manage their business successfully because they don't start screaming at the person who came in late. Rather, they ask them, how can we attune your schedule so that you are on time? Or they may respond to the person who is having problems working with other colleagues. They may say, how can I best support you in being a team player? Right? And that invites dialogue. It invites you to be able to see another person's perspective rather than it's not evaluative. It's not judgmental. Rather, it is creating an atmosphere of dialogue. Too many times employees quit their jobs because they feel they just can't have a conversation about the way to best work. And so to decimate inquiry, or the ability to just have people ask questions.
Yes.
Is the death of your company.
Absolutely.
You must give the customer the opportunity to ask questions, because we know that the lay of the land today is emotional quotient.
Amen to that. Amen
and
to
that
that.
begins with questions about how people feel, questions about how people think, questions about how people respond.
Yes.
These are questions, and they are not one-dimensional questions in that sometimes it's not going to be answered right away.
That is
it's
true.
Exploratory.
Exactly.
And so when we think about these things, it changes the way that we respond, the way that we show up to our companies.
Yes.
Like I remember asking myself, how did the proposal get rejected by this client that I worked with before? They approved the last one. How come we approve this one?
I know, right?
And it's like, it's a question, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not a statement. I didn't say, oh, they didn't pass my proposal, so therefore my business is not going to thrive. No, I said, how can I fine tune this proposal to get the approval?
Let me give you an example, personal experience from mine, right? I have my business. I did inquire from someone about why, how come, what is the reason, right? To better understand. That's something I always do. No matter who you are, I always make sure I ask the question, okay, what we know, what did we do better for you? What could we do better? Even if you don't, even if you're not happy with it, even with what we do, I still go ahead and ask questions. Why we inquire, we call, we, try to understand. But you have to understand, some people, I've met an individual, they didn't have anything to say,
Mm.
so that's the part that I'm talking about, that and I messaged, I emailed, I'm asking question, we called. It's just their perception and they don't want to talk about it. I don't know why, but whatever that is, they didn't mention. So that's what I'm saying. Some individual, you want to pay attention to the ones that do tell you something beneficial. You know what I'm saying? Ask those questions. Of course, anybody in general, ask the questions. But if they give you something that you can go with it. If it's just based on their emotions that they can't tell you what it is, I mean, what can you do? You can't kill yourself. Keep it moving. Okay, you do the best you can, but you learn from that experience, and you just make sure you do some self-reflection about what that is, what you think you may have done wrong, and then do better if the best you can. But again, we can only do our best as providers or as business owners. Now, just wanted to wrap up real quick. So going back to what you just said right now about why people are staying, with one job or the other. So I'm going to give you a study, right? It says studies have found that studies find that well-being, keyword well-being, is highly related to a sense of positive connection and engagement at work, and being able to provide service of some kind through your contributions to the enterprise. In fact, only 7% of well-being was attributed to income. In addition, the flip side of the finding that unpleasant workplace can shorten your life. So
Oh,
positive,
wow.
yeah, okay. So again, only seven. So it says 7% will improve, right? But on the flip side, if you're working in an unpleasant workplace, it can shorten your life. Your work can be killing you, literally. Because think about it, you're spending 1/3 of your life on Earth at work, and it
Mm,
affects all of your existence. You don't
mm,
even know how long you're gonna live, but imagine one
mm,
third of your life if you even live that long,
mm.
right? So it says here, positive relationships with coworkers and a supportive, positive environment or management's behavior is associated with a longer life.
Yes.
The perception of emotional support at work was the strongest indicator of future health.
Mm,
Increasing movement. So nowadays, if you know you want your business to thrive, it says increasing movements towards a business model that prioritizes well-being over growth. Your priority type, my business is life then work. Life,
mm,
I'm not doing work life. No, 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 no. We're not doing that. It's not work-life balance. It's life-work balance. Life first and then you work. Okay. That means flexible. So my business pillars has to do with flexibility, has to do with, mine is like respect, high, high valued, or I call it high. I'm MCI. Well, I'm MC high class. So FYI too, my business is also high class service. Okay. That's what
yeah.
we give at UBridge Health. So all of these things is when I coach people, this is what I help you discover. So you, again, increasing movements towards a business model that prioritizes well-being over growth, in which a company's products, services, and brands supports maximum flourishing for customers, workers, and society. Another thing that this article says is that, let me just summarize. In essence, it says your business has to stand for more than just being about making money. It has to literally, it says the most successful companies consider whether or not they are building long-term institutions for society. They're investing in the future while paying attention to the needs of the society and the people today. So it's
Yes.
not about just, we're making money. You got to think about the future. This is where purpose come in. What change are you doing in people's lives?
Yes.
You have to think about those things. What change are you doing in the worker's life, society, and the people, the customers you're working with? This is all purpose for your business. You must know what that is. It's not about making money anymore. That is why a lot of companies, they have revolving doors opening back and forth. People leaving companies is because these companies are obviously they're not doing something effective for the society or for the workers, or prioritizing the well-being of the people that work for them. So in conclusion, go ahead. You
Right.
want to say something?
And
Go
this
ahead.
goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about how often so many people leave this world and haven't had their imprint put on the world at large because they were so focused on one degree of intelligence. They never really learned how to navigate in the other realms of intelligence, such as EQ and MI and all of those. They didn't learn how to navigate these things. And even tonight, some people listening, they appreciate this episode, because how many times do we really have conversations about moral intelligence or
Ooh,
body intelligence or
yes,
emotional intelligence? EI is a big word today, right?
of
Emotional
course.
intelligence, but not really many people know,
Body or
but they don't know the practicing. You can't just know the definition of things. You have to know how to put it into practice. And
yes.
so when I think about what you were saying about the workplace, right, and all of its woes, there's a big term of you have to be well, right, today, right?
Yes.
I can only speak about the American worker has a big emphasis on wellness. People want to know, how am I going to be well? Is this job going to stress me out? Is this
Yes.
job going to take away from me more time than it deserves
For
to?
my family, yep. My health.
And so
Yes.
this is the stinging question. But when you compare that with, or when you put that up or juxtapose that with survival, some people have had to compromise their wellness for survival.
Yes.
That is simply because they are not operating in the realm of intelligence that says, hey, this is my value. I believe that work is important, but it is not more important than my life.
Yes.
Life is more than work. My life is more than punching a time clock, than making a dollar. My life
Yes.
is about experiences. My life is about values evolving for me.
Yes.
Life is about relationships. My
Absolutely.
life is not simply constructed to me just working. Because the truth of the matter is, the best investment is not in your company, but in yourself.
Amen to that. So just to conclude again, the whole essence, part of the essence of Rethink Life is to help you literally be and find the job that is going to be your life work. The Bible talks about you are going to work. Don't get it wrong. You are going to work, but you want to make sure you want to do the work that is you.
Yes.
Don't do that. Is why do things that are easy and natural to you. Don't trying to be, I want to solve no. Do things that are easy and natural to you. And don't get it wrong. Just because it's easy and natural to you does not mean you will not face obstacles. You
Oh,
will.
absolutely.
You will still face obstacles, but the thing is, you are equipped to handle it.
Yes.
Because the Creator Himself He put these gifts in you. So you want to make sure you know how to, and we're going to talk about how to monetize your passion, how to find your passion, how to find your purpose and monetize it. That is my own area.
Yes.
So I want you guys to really live the life you are supposed to live. A lot of us, we are working. We've worked and we've been trained and framed a certain way. We didn't know a lot of things. We are trying to make sure we help the next generation not to make the same mistakes over again. Think about it. What would this life look like if each person is thriving in their own type of intelligence, right? Their own type of intelligence. Can you imagine what we would do and how great this world will be? You have not seen anything yet. This is just about to get started. So if we really want to be the change that we want to see in the world, it starts with you and I. We have to be in the right environment, right workplace, be in the right job. Some people are supposed to be CEOs, but unfortunately, they're working in a special intelligence area that they don't even have intelligence in. This is why I talk about purpose and niche. I am a psych nurse practitioner. And like I said, I am trying to make a change in the world that we're living today. I don't want us to keep having psych problems because of work, something we can easily fix.
Absolutely.
Because we're not in the right environment.
Yes.
So again, I hope you really enjoy this conversation tonight. I just want you to leave you guys with one thing, lastly, right? The Bible talks about, and I'm not here to preach about the Bible, but the thing is, you have to understand, the Bible talks about in everything. What does it say? Gain understanding, right? Wisdom is valid. I mean, maybe wisdom is the principal thing, but get in all getting, right? Get understanding. And what we just described tonight, when we spoke about what is the definition of intelligence, it's literally saying get understanding and also know how to apply it. That's wisdom. So when I say what, where, and when, I'm talking about wisdom. I'm talking not just about the knowledge, but the knowledge type you get, right? That's the intelligence type. Applying it, get understanding, get wisdom, know when to use it, where to use your intelligence, and what kind of intelligence does it require. If you're
Right.
in a musical place, you require musical talent,
Yes.
intelligence. You don't
Yes.
you get the idea. All right.
Yes.
Any last words, Dr. Ugochukwu?
All that I would say is I really appreciated you inviting me
Thank
to
you.
discuss this topic, which is an ongoing topic. I hope that there'll be future conversations with other
Yes. Yes.
professionals concerning does intelligence equate success? I believe that it's a pressing question in the 21st century that, a lot of time we don't have time to sit down and have the critical dialogue around that question or around even the subject matter of intelligence. We're just expected to perform, right?
I'm telling you.
And we're not even asked, within ourselves. We don't even ask ourselves, let alone have somebody else ask us. We don't even
Hmm.
ask in ourselves, what can I bring to the table?
Hmm.
How have I processed emotions today? How have I fed my body today? How
Hmm.
have I worked well with others or not today?
Hmm.
All of these are questions that stem from this subject of the definition of intelligence. And truly, everybody wants to be successful, but nobody really wants to assess how they can become successful, right? Um,
Yes.
and it's not just about, oh, I got my company now, I got my advanced degree, I got my money, so I'm good. No, that's not it,
Mm-mm.
because the true height of intelligence requires you to do some more application
Yes.
beyond just the benefit of you, but
Yes.
it is the benefit of the world that you live in. Because
Amen.
the reason why we have millionaires and then we have billionaires, the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire is that the billionaire has decided and has figured out how to expand the company on a global front,
Hmm.
and to still navigate regionally. And
Amen.
so that's the difference between the millionaire and the billionaire. The millionaire is constricted to one sphere,
Hmm.
where the billionaire has now decided, I'm going to master all of these spheres,
Yes.
but a profit nonetheless. And
Absolutely.
so, I really appreciate it tonight. I really feel that I really appreciate it for everyone who joined in and
Yes.
everyone who gave their feedback, because I really
Thank
feel
you.
that we just touched upon the subject. We didn't, and
Hmm.
we didn't close the conversation. We just struck the ice.
Yes.
And I know that there will be this will inspire many more conversations about intelligence in many different
Hmm.
fields and at many different times and places. Today is what? October 27th, right?
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
know, maybe 2 years from now, somebody may say, I remember when I was on Rethink Life with Doyin and they were discussing this. They might
Hmm.
cite some research that we gave or might cite a scenario that we presented to them. And this is real. This is real.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Ugochukwu. We're so glad to have you here. Guys, please don't forget, Dr. Ugochukwu, I know you have your Nick consultant, or better yet, where do you want them to reach out to you in case they have more questions or they want you to come speak? Where would you like for them to reach you out?
They
Please
can
go
just
ahead.
they can just you can reach me on my Instagram at Nick Consultant. It's just Nick Consulting. You add it, Nick Consulting, you'll find it. And I invite personal emails. They can email me, my first name, my last name at gmail.com.
Mhm, mhm.
I support, I want to say that I do support your work and your mission and your vision, because, I've told you this before, but I'm going to say it on the line. This is what we need in the world that we live in,
Yeah.
because, rethinking life in itself. Nobody, we really don't sit down and really take time to do that.
Yeah.
We really don't. But
Mm.
these things is very, very important.
Yes.
And so I think this is good. This is going to be big. When people go back and play this episode, they're going to say, "Wow, they had that conversation." Oh
Yes.
man, this is good stuff. And this is what we need. Give
Thank
us time
you.
to process stuff. Yep.
Thank you. And of course, my name once again is Doyin. I'm a psych nurse practitioner, the founder and CEO of Bridge Health, where we provide psychiatric mental health services to all ages. I include helping people discover their life purpose, your niche, be in the right career development for yourself so that you will live a fulfilling life. You can live the dream life you want. And that should actually, and you can also affect change in people's lives. I am also the TV talk show host,
Yes.
Rethink Life with Doyin, where we unlearn the old ways, old habits, things you throw them out the window. Get it?
Yes.
Exactly. And we relearn life better so we can live the life we truly are supposed to live. We can have heaven on earth. That's the
Oh,
vision.
yes,
That's
yes,
the
yes.
dream. And we can make this a reality. So we are on our journey. I'm on my journey. Dr. Ugochukwu is on his journey. Rethink Life is on his journey. Ubridge Health is on his journey. And again, stay tuned. Follow me at Rethink Life with Doyin. And of course, all the platforms. I'm here. Happy to, answer your questions and have a wonderful night. Take care, guys.
Yes. Good
Thank you
night.
for
Good
being
night,
here. I
guys.
appreciate
Good
you.
night, guys. Have a good
Subscribe. Follow
Bye.
me more. Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Don't forget, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.